Open late every night. Well, the perfect video store.
Welcome to Blockbuster Video.
Hello, Craftyandy here, and this is Crafty Arts where we art. Now there's a lot of talk about the memories of Blockbuster. Oh yes, all those video rental stores, especially Blockbuster. Surprisingly, Hollywood Video's still around. Blockbuster, not so much. In fact, they turned it into a museum in Oregon, I think it is. And it's funny, it's just like The Onion predicted.
A new tourist destination in Auburn Hills, Michigan is showing visitors the difficulties life held for Americans in the past. Blockbuster Video aims to transport visitors to a time before the internet.
Wonder what else they predicted.
As a police officer, I constantly live in fear that I might be filmed brutalizing a civilian.
I'll share with you some of the best experiences I've had. So, for starters, one of the most memorable experiences outside of the occasional video game rental or movie, there was a game that came out for Nintendo 64, Gauntlet Legends. A so-so game for the system, translated from an arcade cabinet. There was only one copy at the Blockbuster near us, and it was constantly rented out. So we decided we're going to take our bikes, we're going to go to another Blockbuster, except it was like, I don't know, 8 miles away. So nonetheless, it took forever to get there. Riding our bikes, 12 years old. Think of how long that takes. Think of how exhausting it is. I'm not even sure if it was 8 miles. I just know it was fucking far, and I couldn't ride no more by the time we got there. Or by the time we got back, really. And we got there, and it turns out the Blockbuster card only works at the store you got it from. They didn't have a system set up where you can just go to any Blockbuster and use it. Nope. You had to stick around your own place. If not, you had to make a new one. And obviously, we're not 18, so we can't do that. So we just rode back completely empty-handed. It was a disgusting day, but nonetheless, one of my other best friends in high school, we decided to just hang out a lot, and over the weekends, we would rent a lot of movies. We rented mainly shitty horror movies. We rented so many shitty horror movies, they expanded the section. They expanded the entire section of horror. So we got even more shitty horror movies we could look at. I got some treats because of this. Movies I never even heard of, movies I never thought of. Monkey Shines from George A. Romero of Night of the Living Dead.
I'm gonna take you apart. I'm gonna rip your fucking eyes out. I'm gonna tear you open and chew out your fucking heart.
Night of the Demons, I remember that. That was pretty awful, but for some reason I remember that one. Not so much the other ones we saw.
Christ! Stop looking at me! Ah! Damn it!
Oh, Basket Case. Yeah, Basket Case was something else. Toxic Avenger.
Hey, Leroy! You know, I always did want to cornhole me a blind, bitch!
Oh, yes. Oh, the glories of Toxic Avenger. I had no idea what trauma was, had no idea what that was. We just saw the title, we thought it looked awful. And in some respects it was awful, but it was awfully awesome.
Okay, you motherfucker!
Later on, got a job there. Thanks to the same best friend who got a job there first. He put the good word in for me. And I managed to get a job despite my nervous attitude and demeanor.
My main responsibilities are to man the cash register and to put the movies from the return slot back onto the shelves.
They threw me out on the floor where I had to walk around with a fucking apron selling rewards packages to them. As you can tell by these pictures, we were very, very professional in our duties, with my best friend being the manager and myself being just a normal clerk, cleaning up the store, putting the movies up. We occasionally switch roles every now and then, but you know, we knew better than to act as friends on the job, because that just doesn't work out if you don't know how to separate feelings and business, obviously. But there was a lot of interesting characters that come in there. The usual people that complain about late fees or some other stupid shit that they should have been able to handle themselves. But we got some really strange customers. I got one guy who approached me. He was looking for Ratchet and Clank. Funny enough, Ratchet and Clank is coming out with a new game. Good, now I can add it to the tags and hopefully this video gets a little more attention, huh? So he was looking for Ratchet and Clank. I checked it out. Nope, it wasn't there. He looked at me as his kids were rummaging around movies, messing up the fucking shelf. And he said, straight in my eye, you know, I come here every week and you don't have what I'm looking for. You know what? Fuck your Ratchet and Clank. I don't need your fucking Ratchet and Clank. I don't need your fucking Ratchet and Clank. Fuck it. Fuck it. He took his kids, started walking out, called the cops on him, because I figured he was drunk, but I was a little pissed off too. Got pulled over at the Tim Hortons next door, and yes, he got taken away. So, yep, I guess he was drunk, driving around with his prepubescent children. Because I didn't go out and make a scene or anything, no. Yeah, they tested him. So, probably saved a couple of lives that day. Probably 3. Another interesting customer came in, drunk. Excuse me. He came up to the register, asked him for his movies. Didn't respond, he just stood there staring. Staring like a fucking deer in headlights. His wife took the movies, handed them over. Asked him for his card. Just stood there, stood there, twitching almost. Okay, wife got his wallet, got the card out, ran his movies, you know, kept good composure as we let him out the door. Then we noticed a nice little wet spot in front of the register. Yeah, he pissed his pants. He just stood there in front of the fucking register. He got the movies together and he just pissed his fucking pants. And to top it all off, he got into the fucking driver's seat. And luckily, it's St. Clair Shores, so the cops are just waiting for any kind of excuse to go out and do something. So we called them up, and yeah, they pulled him out and at least took him into custody, I guess. Or at least put him in a drunk tank before he did something really fucking stupid. Like, he just, wobbled his way over there. After leaving a piss puddle, and his wife is so fucking stupid, she let him in the goddamn driver's seat. And a couple more instances with customers that actually stuck with me. One was this poor kid. He came in, bought a bunch of video games like Jak and Daxter, a PS2, some controllers, memory cards, the whole shebang. A week later, his dad comes in with the kid, demanding that we take all this shit back. Everything's been opened, by the way, and when it comes to electronics, once they're open, you can't resell them in the store. It's just lost merchandise at that point, so you have to decide whether or not you can give them a refund. Obviously, being so low tier that I am, I can't. And the way this father is describing the reason why he's returning these items is just fucking disgusting to me. It makes me question his sanity. My son bought a game that I wouldn't even let in the fucking house. Well, he didn't say fucking. I guess he's too much of a Christian to say fucking. And I'm just thinking, he has Ratchet and Clank and some other rather tame games. These are games he won't let him have in the house. I mean, he's old enough to come in and buy things for himself. He's obviously in his mid-teens. He was about to swear off the entire store though until then. He's like, if you don't give me a refund, I'm never gonna come here again. You know, that whole spiel. Too bad my manager gave him the refund of everything, and then he just changed his tune. Like, you have a customer for life. Little did he know. And then after he got the money together, he's like, yeah, give it back to my son. He's gonna need that when he goes to military school. So it's like, what the fuck did your son do? Did he commit a grave sin by purchasing the PS2? Is the PS2 possessed by demons? Is it a channeler to the great Satan? I don't fucking know. I'll never know. I feel bad for that kid. The last story that I'll always take away from this was, at one point, we usually get some people that, to keep an eye on them, because they usually play these tactics. They play these obvious tactics to try to get you distracted so they can give themselves a 5-finger discount, if you know what I mean. So they tell you to look up a movie in the front of the counter, Little did I know they actually gave us walkie-talkies so I could be like, hey, check out this movie. Okay, they don't, they have it? Oh, okay. And then they usually just walk away, not even grabbing the goddamn movie. So we had a couple guys come in. They started walking around. The third guy acts as a distractor, talking to the register, person to register, while another guy unzips his coat and just starts stuffing used games, like cheap used games, into his coat. What the fuck is going? Is this? He's actually unzipping his coat. So yeah, we called the cops. Got his license plate because he parked right outside the window. All of a sudden, within, I say, like under 5 minutes, 10 cop cars just come in. As they're coming out into their car, like 10 cop cars surround their vehicle, which turned out to be stolen, as we later found out when the news report came. They put them all to the ground. They arrested them cleanly, I might add. Not every arrest involves police brutality. Go figure. But they put them away. Started pulling out drugs. They had whole bags full of cocaine in their car. Guys were in their fucking 30s, late 30s and 40s. And it's just thinking, like, wow, how fucking sad is that area sometimes. But that was the biggest major event. And we had a few employees that were weird that came into, and I never thought that people could be this fucking lazy, even at my tender age of 18 going on to 19. So the manager of the day asked this guy to vacuum the store. His response, no, I'm feeling tired. And so my friend decides he's just going to take the vacuum and do it himself. The other manager says, what the hell are you doing? He's like, well, he doesn't want to do it. He's tired. It's like, no, you tell him to do it. It's his job. And so he kind of thought for a second. Yeah, you're right. So he went over there, told the guy, like, hey, I need you to vacuum. And he's like, no, I told you I'm tired. Well, I mean, this is your job. You got to clean the store. He's like, well, then this is my 2-week notice. He's only been there for a few days. I also thought it was kind of bizarre that how some people quit. Like, they can't just come in and say they are putting in their 2 weeks notice and quitting. Like, we had a manager, or at least a guy who was training to be manager, just come in, and he didn't even come in the store. He just came in to the area, dropped off his keys in the drop box, dropped off his store keys, and just left. Didn't say a fucking word. Another guy we had hired on, he lasted for a couple months, but he kept on taking these weird breaks in the bathroom for a long time. I remember one point, he was playing one of the game systems. Manager asked him to take out the trash, and he's like, wait till I finish this game. Wait till you finish the fucking game. Just take out the goddamn trash. I mean, you're on the clock getting paid right now. So, yeah, we had him, manager had him clean all the window cells, clean everything, just to kind of punish him. And then they started finding excuses to write him up. It's funny, too. Whenever someone doesn't like you in a retail store like this, they'll find ways to make you either quit or get you fired really easily. So we started giving him 2 to 3 hours a week, 2 hours one day, 7 hours another day, scattered his schedule all over the place during the week. If he didn't say, like, the customer's name as they walked out, I just started writing him up. Writing him up again and again until finally he just quit on his own. He just couldn't take the hours anymore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a good lesson for him. I've had other retail jobs, working stock and grocery stores or Walmart, but I even worked at a theater, movie theater. But even that, nothing really as impactful as working at that little video store and all the shenanigans we got into. Throwing movies around like they're frisbees, hiding the walkie-talkies behind movies so that when customers walk by, we can make a comment and then startle them a little bit. Check out this movie over here. Like a customer may be walking by the walkie-talkie that's hidden. We'd be like, hey, yeah, write this movie. This is a good movie. Yeah. Yeah, just having fun at the fucking job. Nothing too dramatic or eventful other than that drug bust. I know one big event that happened at Blockbuster that I was at, and that was Game Rush. Blockbuster's answer to GameStop and EB Games. So Game Rush had some extra deals going on when it came to its game rentals. And we started taking in used movies and used games. So there came a time when there was all these deals going on. And I don't know, some CEO was just thinking of the short-term gain, probably getting a nice little bonus for the year and then just jumping ship and leaving, because this is how it went down. So one of the deals was turn in 3 movies or turn in 3 games, and after you turn in 3 games and trade them in for store credit, you get an extra $5 for each game. So you could get maybe like, I don't know, let's see, turn in 3 used games, $10 a piece, so that's $30, $5 a piece, that's $45 on top of that, so you have $45. So what people would do, because on top of the trade-in value, there was a discount value. Buy 2 used games, get 1 50% off. So people would buy 2 $1 used game and then buy a $45 used game that's practically new. A lot of times there was stolen product that was being turned in for store credit. So you would get 40% off or 50% off a used game after buying 2, and they would try to game the system all the fucking time. And they would bitch, they would moan, they would complain whenever they get denied, like, oh, the system automatically goes for the lowest priced game. So if you try to buy 2 $1 game and put a $40 game on there, it's going to try to apply it to the $1 game regardless. So we try to enforce that as best as we could. Of course, when you're not a manager, most people who are not manager are not going to have that kind of drive to resist a irate customer. A lot of people have a hard time saying no to them. And then we ended up getting people coming in with $900, $1,000, $1,200 of store credit, because they would go to Blockbuster after Blockbuster, either steal the games, come back, trade it in, or trade in a bunch of used games and buy a couple used games, get the discount, come back, trade it in, and they would start racking up store credit again and again and again. And so by the time the year was up with Game Rush, I guess Blockbuster just saw it as a disaster and just losing money hand over fist, so they just started phasing it out completely. And then I quit long before they went out of business.
There's one near you.
And thank God, too, because I was getting paid peanuts there. I was getting paid like $6.75 or something of that nature. That's the thing about these types of retail jobs, fast food, whatever, Walmart, Meijer, they all are the fucking same. You make about minimum wage and the raises don't keep up with inflation. You get like a nickel or a dime every year. So it never pays to stick around for more than a couple years, because your raises are never going to meet up to the actual rate of inflation. So you might as well just find another job, because they are going to start you at a higher rate. That is literally everything that's noteworthy of Blockbuster that I can think of. Do you have any experiences with Blockbuster? If you have any experiences with Blockbuster or any other rental stores, or your first job, because that was my first job, or your worst job even, because that's what I'm going to be talking about next week. My best job, my worst job. We'll see what goes on from there. Major episodes, Undertale, Siren Head, working on projects for that. Something that's a little more edited and scripted with skits. So that's going to be fun. Just stick around and subscribe and share it with all your friends and family and all that nonsense. Other than that, these are just my thoughts. Bye.